here comes up Mr. Karan Yankovich. In the year of Facebook and YouTube, brand innovation has become the challenge when it comes to the reachability of social media audience. To give you a better opinion on brand innovation, we have Mr. Karan Yankovich, President and LinkedIn expert, speaker to give a brief on brand innovation and social media transformation. He is a president of Up Level Media, a social media marketing agency delivering profitable cutting-edge digital strategies. She is an internationally recognized LinkedIn evangelist and social media consultant who is an expert at helping business use LinkedIn and a range of other social spaces profitably. A popular trainer and international speaker, Karan's social media advice and expertise can be found in guest contribution to dailyworth.com, Huffington Post, Social Media Examiner, and Carry Talk Radio on Sirius XM Radio. So with no further delay, we can call upon Mr. Karan Yankovich to give a brief introduction and then presentation on brand innovation and social media transformation. So hi, Mr. Karan.
Okay, so I want to just thank you guys for having me here today, and we're going to talk about brand innovation and social media transformation here. And when I think of brand innovation, at least in the terms of what we're going to be talking about today, I really want to look at it in terms of your personal brand, okay? Because I think a big mistake that I find many people make is that when they're talking about brand, they immediately think about business brand and overlook the importance of their personal brand. So we're today going to be looking at brand from the perspective of your personal brand as it relates to social media and how that can transform your business and what we've seen happening over the past few years. So hopefully that makes sense for everybody. So just a little bit here, what we're looking about with brand is visibility. With social media, we're looking for visibility, right? Visibility is what gets us more success in our business, whatever that is, whether we are a business owner or a business professional. It's visibility that we use social media for, right? And that visibility leads to more customers, and more customers leads to more profit in our lives and in our business. So, when you're looking at things like social media, when you're looking at your social media sites, do you look at this in a way where you're not just using it, but you're actually growing it? You're growing a tribe, right? So, I don't think I can see here, so I'm not going to make this interactive. Normally I would like to make this interactive, but I can't see if you guys are responding. So I'm going to just kind of move forward. And I want you to think about, are you looking at this in a way that, at social media, as a way for you to build a tribe, for you to build an audience, for you a way to stand out from the crowd, right? To step into your role as a leader in 2018 and beyond, right? What is your role, and what role does your brand and social media play in the role of you as a leader, right? There's a few roadblocks that I often see people have with this. So if you don't have to raise your hand or anything here, but I want you to think about this and make a mental note or take notes on a piece of paper if you have it. I want you to think about, give yourself yes or no's to these questions here. Yes or no, I have a consistent automatic way of generating new leads every month. Yes or no, I have a strong and engaged social media following that helps me build leads every single month. Yes or no, I have a designated lead generation opt-in or freebie that I use to capture email addresses, right? Because social media, digital marketing is more than just the social media platform itself. We want to drive that traffic to something that you own, and that's often an email list. How about this? Do you have a plan to regularly pitch yourself to media outlets as an industry expert? Okay, is that, how does that fit into there? So media is 24/7 now, right? Do you consider the opportunities that are out there for you to get even more brand visibility by maybe becoming an expert that the media reaches out to for quotes on the things that are important to you? And do you build relationships with local journalists so that they call you for quotes about your industry or are related, community-related stories. These are things I want you to start thinking about now. And we're going to talk a little bit here about how to get your brand more visible, how to get your brand visible using social media. So, we're going to talk about how to get a high visibility social media plan. We're going to talk about how to implement that, and I want that to be easy. We're going to be talking about ways to grow your audience, to engage and profit with that audience. Also, to make yourself newsworthy, to have a brand that is newsworthy, to have a brand that, so that you can create a great hook so people want to know more from you, and how to find the right journalists so that you can get those stories in front of the right people. So my name is Karen Yankovich. I am a social media consultant. I help entrepreneurs, like coaches, business professionals, sales professionals, creatives, use the social media space profitably. I want you to understand how to use social media to leverage your brand. Okay, so so that's my role. I teach digital marketing. I help people understand how to use digital marketing to grow, how to use that space to grow the business career that they want, right? I have not always been a social media consultant. Years ago, I was a Facebook holdout. I was one of the last of all of my friends using Facebook. I went to a high school reunion a few years ago, and this is actually me with my high school friends, and everybody was staying in touch on Facebook. And I was like, I don't use Facebook. I'm not a Facebook person. But once they convinced me to use it, I realized how powerful it was, not only for my personal brand, but for my business brand. And in 1 year, I grew my social media followers from about 25,000 to over 100,000. When I focused on it, I make $25 sales and $100,000 a year client sales using social media. And my goal is to double my email list year after year. And I get featured in some pretty fun articles. I now have a podcast, which is fun. So I use social media very strategically to grow my business and my brand. And I'm going to show you how to do the same thing here today. So basically, when you're using that social media strategy, you infuse a little PR savvy, right? Because your brand isn't like you can have a brand as well, but it's kind of like nailing that. You may have heard of the concept of putting a flyer, nailing it to a tree in the middle of the forest, right? If nobody sees it, what good is having a brand if nobody sees your brand, right? So I like to infuse some public relations into all the social media work that I do, because that helps us get more visible. It helps us get our brand seen by more people. So we're going to talk a little bit about how I do that today. You'll learn about the secret to using social media to be seen as a rock star, the secret to getting media attention, and a little known trick for using social media and PR together for powerful results. We're going to start with social media. Okay, so basically, we're going to talk about how to create a high visibility social media plan. I want people to see you. I want people to see, your social media. If you have 25 followers, listen, if they're engaged followers and you're getting clients from them all the time, that's fabulous, but that's not happening to most of us, right? You don't want your content to be seen by the same 25 people all the time. You want more visibility to that. When we're thinking about social media, I want you to look at it in terms of a funnel like this. Okay, social media, many people say to me, well, I have 200 Twitter followers, so I'm going to make 200 sales. And that's not the case, right? Social media and PR is the visibility. Visibility is the front end of your funnel, of whatever that funnel is for you and your business. It is not, listen, occasionally people go to your Facebook page and buy something. That's wonderful when that happens. But if that's your plan, you're setting yourself up for failure. I want you to look at social media and PR like it's the beginning of your sales funnel. Like it is where the world starts to get to know about you and what you do, right? Kind of like a commercial on television, right? It's where that visibility happens. And then your social media and your PR visibility, you need to drive that traffic to your website, hopefully maybe by something that will capture that information of that person and get their email address. So now they become a lead and they're on your email list, right? And those leads become sales. I'm telling you this because I want to manage your expectations here. Social media is not necessarily the place that you go to make your next 10 sales. It's the place that you go to get the visibility, but you need to have a plan behind that visibility so that it can lead to a place of profit. All right. So very often people just don't know where to start, right? They're like, all right, I hear you, Karen, but what do I do? Like I sit down on Facebook and I open it up and I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. Or I know I should be using LinkedIn and I don't use it. I don't really know how to use it. And what people do is they just go right to these social media sites and they're like, all right, I'm going to sell. let me tell you all about my products and services, right? That is not what we want to do on social media, right? We want to have a balance of how much content we're putting out there that's sales related and how much content we're putting out there that is, providing value to our followers. And some people really feel very uncomfortable selling. So instead of selling, what they're doing is they're just posting beautiful quotes, right? They're posting Oprah quotes and Tony Robbins quotes, and they're not really telling people about their business, right? They're just uncomfortable with that. What I want you to do is have a nice mix. When you're creating a content plan, which is the foundation of your visibility, which is the foundation of your brand and your social media, you want to have a combination of things like trending topics, hot content, nice eye-catching visuals, video, all right? How about video? Video is hot in this day and age, right? Video is hot. And then lastly, hashtags, right? Hashtags are not just something that you use if you want to talk about your favorite TV show on Twitter. Hashtag helps you get visibility. Hashtags help you get found. I want to talk about that for a second because hashtags is a very much overlooked aspect of your digital marketing plan, of your social media brand strategy. When you're creating, let me tell you a little bit about what a hashtag is. A hashtag is something that we use to curate content, meaning that when I click on that hashtag, everybody else's content that used that hashtag will come up at the same time, right? So think about that. Even LinkedIn is getting in on the hashtag game. About a month ago or 2 months ago, they started to really dial in on hashtags. And now when you go on LinkedIn, it offers you suggestions of hashtags you might want to put in your posts, right? So think about what are those hashtags that if other people are looking for, right? You want to come up with that, right? You want to come up with that. You're not, it's a way of being found outside of like SEO, outside of like search engines. So you want to have a hashtag strategy so that you can be found more often. And that should be an integral part of your content plan. Now, how do you do all of this, right? Now I said, all right, now you've got all this content. Now what do you do, right? And I get it. Very often you don't have a lot of time. Like time is flying by and you're busy and you've got 55,000 things that are all happening at the same time. There are some ways that you can automate your social media content. Okay, there's some very simple ways to do it. There's some very, ways that you can keep your name. It's top of mind, right? Visibility. So if you've got all this great social media, and even if you're building your followers and you have all this great content, if you're not consistently posting it, then your brand starts to fade into, the places where people are forgetting it even exists. So I want you to use some automation tools, okay, to help get your brand out there. Now, this is just Facebook, and I don't know if you guys have business Facebook pages, but this is one example. If you have a business Facebook page, you can schedule posts to go out. So if on your brand you've got beautiful, let's say you're a photographer and you've got some pictures, or you're a business, you're in sales, or you've got products or services that you market, maybe you've got a blog or a podcast or something, that is, you want to get more visibility on. You can create content on Facebook and you can schedule those posts so that you sit down one day, you schedule out posts a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in advance, and then that will post while you're out doing the rest of your business. Okay, often this is you, other times maybe it's somebody on your team, maybe it is somebody that is, maybe you've hired somebody to do this for you. Every platform, for the most part, has a way to automate some content. So in my case, I have a podcast, Good Girls Get Rich. And when my podcast comes out, my team knows that these are this is the standard thing that happens. On Tuesday, this episode comes out. On Wednesday, it gets posted on Facebook. On Thursday, it gets posted on Twitter. So this is all things that I can schedule and automate so I don't have to manually remember to do this. We can sit down in 1 hour, schedule it all out, and all of the promotion for that podcast is all set in 1 hour. These are the kinds of things that you can do to save yourself some time in your social media marketing. Because as we know, this stuff is changing all the time, right? We're seeing things like stories blow up. Now, you can't necessarily schedule to stories. You can create content ahead of time and then have it ready so that you can upload it to stories at a particular date and time on Instagram or on Snapchat, so that you can take advantage of some of the hottest trends in social media. stay on brand and not be looking at your computer or your phone going, oh my gosh, I know I should post on Instagram today. I just don't know what to post, right? Plan it in advance, schedule everything you can, and then just have a quick plan to get everything else uploaded when it's ready to be uploaded. And the last few steps for social media is growing your fans and engaging and profiting. So, you know, the first two steps are really getting the content out there. But again, like I said earlier, if the same people are seeing it all the time, you're not getting that visibility that you can get. We want to grow your fans so that you are, so that you are seen by more new people and more people all the time. And maybe when you think about growing your social media, it looks like this big white blank screen, right? Like you're like, I don't know, I try to grow it and nothing really happens and I don't know what to do. I get that. I get that. Or maybe you're posting all the time, you're doing all the things I'm talking about doing, but nobody's watching, right? You're especially on Facebook, right? You're doing all this work on Facebook and Facebook is showing it to 3 people. Right? So here's what I want you to understand. I want you to understand that this is still really, really important. I want you to think about this number one way that you can get your brand seen and heard by and have more visibility by just doing this one thing, and that is involving your community. So think about what that community is to you. In some cases, that community is a virtual community. In other cases, that community is an actual community of physical people, right? But I want you to think about how it can grow your brand if you build your community, if you involve the community. And let me give you an example. Who remembers April the giraffe, right? This poor giraffe was pregnant forever. And this is a tiny little zoo in upstate New York in the US. And they put a webcam in this giraffe's cage, right? And the world watched and waited for April the giraffe to deliver her baby calf, to the point where they got Toys R Us to sponsor this, right? So then what they did was they used social media, they used Facebook, they reached out to the media, right? But they involved the community. They're sharing the insides of what's happening in the zoo with the community by using this webcam, by being very authentic, right? I mean, there's nothing more authentic than a webcam in a giraffe's cage, right? And the world watched while this giraffe never, ultimately gave birth, I guess, but it went forever. But this is how things go viral. Right? And this is how you can imagine what this did for the brand of that zoo. There are probably hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people that now know that zoo exists that didn't know before because they found a way to involve the community in their social spaces. Make sense? Another thing that went viral recently is this lady. Who remembers this lady with the Chewbacca mask? If you don't know this, Google Chewbacca lady mask and you'll laugh hysterically. Basically, now she's not a business, but this is just a way to show how social media and your brand is about being real. She basically put this mask on, turned on her phone, and laughed hysterically at herself with this mask on for 5 minutes, and the world laughed with her. Okay, she was genuine, she was real. She shared this with YouTube, so she shared it with her community, and the world laughed with her as she created this brand for herself that just blew up by her being genuine and by sharing this content. So these are the kinds of things that you can do as well. Right, so I want to move on here to social media, to PR, because we've talked about social media for a while. Now I want to talk a little bit about infusing some PR into this digital marketing, this branding, this social media planning that you're doing here. And when I talk about PR, I'm talking about your brand on the internet, on television, on the radio, in newspapers and magazines, right? This is how your brand gets more visibility. Okay, so there are lots and lots of ways that this can happen. And understand, every one of these outlets, all the journalists that write for internet and television and radio and newspapers and magazines, they are all looking for you. They all need smart sources in their industry. And imagine what that can do for your brand if you are on a very widely read magazine or internet site, or on television, or in a newspaper or a magazine. Imagine what that can do for your brand, right? This is somebody that basically was talking about. I mean, I'm sure everybody that's watching this knows how to use Dropbox, right? But this Chris Ruby, social media and expert and CEO of the Ruby Media Group, she made the contacts with Fox and Friends. Okay, I mean, she's talking about how to create smartphone snapshots in a Dropbox folder. All right, anybody, I'm showing you this because I want you to see these are the kinds of things, tiny little things that the media might be looking for. What do you think this did for her business when she got that visibility? This is earned media. Okay, so earned media is this is what you're looking at. Like these are things like every one of these things that you're looking at in this picture, people paid for. Okay, Kodak paid for that ad on the right-hand side. Virgin paid for that ad on the left-hand side. That's media, but that is not earned media. That's media that you pay for. Okay, so think about Joe's Pizza. Everybody here in the US knows a Joe's Pizza, right? If Joe's Pizza takes an ad out in a newspaper and says, we have the best pepperoni pizza in New York, you all got to come check it out. We might check it out because we saw it and it's cool, right? But if there's an article in that paper and there's a journalist that's writing about the fact that he went to Joe's Pizza and had the best pepperoni pizza he's ever had, that's earned media. Joe is not paying for that. So which one would you trust more, right? You're going to trust somebody else's opinion of Joe's Pizza than you are about the ad that Joe's doing. So many of us, when we're talking about expanding our brands, we look at ads and we look at Facebook ads or newspaper ads or whatever kind of ads billboards, whatever. I want you to think about building your brand out with earned media as opposed to paid for media. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do paid for media because there's lots of great reasons to do all those things. But in addition, don't overlook the power of publicity. Richard Branson talks about the fact that publicity is absolutely critical. A good PR story is infinitely more effective than a full page ad, right? So there's three pieces to PR success, and we're going to dive into a couple of them right here, right now. One is being newsworthy, one is creating great hooks, and one is finding the right journalist. Let's talk about being newsworthy. Newsworthy means that are things that are timely, important, and interesting. Okay, these are all publications that are looking for newsworthy stories. There are a ton. This is just a tiny little piece of it. And you might be looking at me right now going, Karen, I don't know what you're talking about. I came here to talk about branding and social media. I'm telling you, this is going to do more for your branding than anything else you have done. It is going to do more for your business when you have a brand that is seen as a leader because it's being featured in the media. That is going to do more for your branding than almost anything else that you've done, and it's so easy to do. So don't worry about it. Don't think like this. I want you to think about being newsworthy. I want you to think about what do you do that might be a little different than everyone else. Okay, I have a client who wrote a book about entrepreneurism and ADD, and we got him featured on a television show that was looking for somebody that was an expert in ADHD. So we got him and his book featured on this, I think this was Fox as well, on this Fox station, because they were looking for an expert on ADHD. Now, what do you think that did for his brand when he can now use as seen on Fox and Friends, right? This is a business coach. I don't know if you remember a few years ago, there was a big Target data breach for the store, the store chain Target. This is a business coach who took the opportunity to reach out and get that microphone when NBC was looking for an expert to talk about data breaches. I don't honestly know what she knew about data breaches, but she knew enough to develop a relationship with the journalist to get her and her business on TV. But here's the thing, you've got to provide them value, okay? It can't just be like reach out to me, I want to talk about this. She took advantage of a story. The story was the data breach. So she used that to provide value and say, I can help you with that story. Okay, so it provided value. There's another person that is very good at using publicity to build her brand, Barbara Cochran. If you can steal the limelight, you'll steal the market share. Okay, she also goes on to say, I became a larger than life figure for one reason only. When you're quoted in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times constantly as the expert in business, people assume you're a lot bigger than you are. Think about that for a second, right? How cool is that? So there's lots of ways you can do this. You may be thinking now, what do I want to pitch the media? Of course, we all know what's happening on the regular calendar, right? It's Christmas, it's New Year's, it's whatever's happening in your part of the world. But there's also some really interesting things that you can talk about in the non-traditional calendar, right? So think about things like, maybe if you're here, if you're familiar with things like, I know here in the U.S. we have I don't remember what the day is. We have National Pancake Day. Right? National Pancake Day. Who cares about National Pancake Day? But if you have a brand that you can find an angle for National Pancake Day, you can maybe get featured on some of these news stations, and that's going to do amazing things for your brand. This is a client who got featured for National Honesty Day. He wrote a book called Just Be Honest. Every year on National Honesty Day, he's all over the news. This is, you might think here, this is a cupcakery that was featured on NBC. And you may think, well, this must have been National Cupcake Day. No, no, no. They were thinking outside of the box, and this is what I want you to do. This is actually National Bacon Day. And what they did was they pitched this and said, we have a maple bacon cupcake, right? It's National Bacon Day is whatever day it is, let's say August 15th. And we have a really fun idea for your show for National Bacon Day that we can come in with our maple bacon cupcakes, right? So think about what that did for the brand of this cupcakery, right? This little tiny little bakery, and I think it's in Washington, D.C., that their brand blew up because they reached out to their local journalists and were able to get this featured on NBC TV. So the next piece of this is creating great hooks. And you may think like a hook, like what? Like, what, isn't a hook what, you the right hook like you do in boxing? No, 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 no. A hook is something that is relevant. It's something that grabs your attention and pulls you in for more. Like AARP magazine does a really, really good job with hooks. Oh, my aching back, the 5 causes of pain that will surprise you. That is a hook. So you want to start thinking like that. What is it that you do that you can create a hook around a topic like National Bacon Day, right, that you can pitch to your local journalists? I know that this sounds complicated, but I promise you when you sit down to do this, it's a lot easier than you think, right? And you may be like, I have no idea how to do this, right? Well, look at some other people, right? If think about who your market is. If your market is young, you may want to go to BuzzFeed website, because on BuzzFeed, there's lots of great hooks, right? If your market is older, you want to go look at AARP, and you may be able to model some of those hooks. If your market is, women in their 40s, go to Oprah magazine and let these magazines help you create the hook. So here's a couple of hooks that we've actually used. Car seats and coats, a deadly combination. This was when they started to determine that coats in car seats were dangerous for babies. That crossed my attention, right? College is the worst investment a parent can make. It's going to catch my attention. I put 4 kids through college, right? These are hooks. What scares fear most, and it's not an avalanche? Well, one of my friends has a product where she sells decorations for medical booths. So what they fear most is breaking a leg, right? And she pitched this and pitched her product to I think a Colorado publication, and got that big because she had a really interesting pitch about her product in a timely way to their event. So hopefully that makes sense. What you're really looking to do here next is really develop relationships. Okay, now here's where you're starting to develop relationships. You need to find the right journalist to pitch these to. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, right? There's a lot of different ways you can find the right journalists to do this. But when you do, it will absolutely, positively blow your business up. You just have to go, you just have to do the research. Put in Google, who's writing about the things that you talk about in your industry, and look to start to develop relationships with them. You don't want to pitch a story about your food blog to the business journalist. He doesn't care. He's just going to drop it, right? So you got to find the actual right person to send it to. And in this day and age, I'm going to give you a really quick, really amazing tip here. The best tool to use to find this right journalist is Google. You just go to Google and you can find these people and start to develop relationships with them. And this is how you start to get that brand visibility for your business. And we're going to talk in a little bit about how this all ties together, but I want to introduce you to my client, Marcy Beagle. Marcy is a child psychologist in New York City, and she, when I first started working with her, she's a really great writer, but she really wasn't getting any visibility. So we pitched her to a parenting blog, a New York City parenting blog. We did a lot of work with her social media as well, so that she looked worthy of them connecting with her. And she got that gig. Well, when the election in the US was happening a few years ago, she pitched herself all over the country, got herself on so many different news stations as the expert about how to talk to kids about the election. She was that expert across all social media. It was across all the media in the US. It was amazing to watch. How she got it? She came up with the pitch, right? The hook. Wow, are people wondering about how to talk to their kids about all this stuff that's going on? She pitched that to she had a interview with Dan Rather. Okay, she pitched this all across social media, all across the US media, and she was interviewed all over the place. It was unbelievable. It blew up her brand. And remember that I said that there's lots of different ways that you can do this. I mean, one of the things that's not even on here is podcasts. I was talking to a client this morning, and we were doing some research on some podcasts that he might be able to pitch to get interviewed on, and there was so many good ones. We ended up stopping at 20. I was like, you just got to start with these 20, and think about what that will do for his visibility and his brand if he can get these interviews. It's immediately elevating you as head and shoulders above everybody else in your industry. All right, so we talked a little bit about PR. Now let's talk a little bit about using these tools together. This is where the magic happens. This is the secret sauce to all of this. Okay. This is my friend Christina that I mentioned earlier. She developed a relationship with this Laura Evans from Fox 5 in Washington, D.C., and she developed a relationship with her on social media. She connected with her on LinkedIn and messaged her, just provided value to her, said, I love your segments, I love your show, started a conversation. Now, mind you, her LinkedIn profile is amazing. She looks amazing on her LinkedIn profile. So Laura Evans was happy to connect with her, right? So she used social media to make the connection, to develop the relationship. And then when Laura Evans had a topic of something that she thought Christina would be a good fit for, she had her on her show, right? This is also Christina who got on the Dr. Oz show by tweeting them. She developed a relationship on Twitter with some of the journalists at the Dr. Oz show. So she got a lot of visibility by using social media to develop relationships. So you can't overlook the social media piece of this, because if you go straight for the visibility piece and you skip the social media piece, you don't have the credibility to get that visibility. Does that make sense? So what you want to do is you want to think about who's influential in your industry. Who could be influential to your brand and help you really elevate that brand, right? And you want to start to develop relationships with them. And it sounds simple, but it is simple. I can't even tell you how many times I've done this, where I've come across a journalist somewhere. Now, I teach social media. Now, I'm talking a lot about PR because this is such an amazing angle for your brand, okay? But I hang my hat on social media and LinkedIn. That is mostly what I talk about, right? But if I'm at an event and I meet a journalist, I am surely going to introduce myself. I'm going to use social media to develop the relationship, maybe eventually take them out and meet them for coffee, right? Because I really want to develop relationships with them. And what that does for my brand, I can't even tell you. I did a LinkedIn talk at a local Chamber of Commerce in New Jersey, and a local newspaper picked it up and interviewed me just about this little LinkedIn talk for this little Chamber of Commerce. And I got 5 more speaking engagements from that one little article. Now, if that guy had checked me out and my social media didn't check out, he would never have wanted to interview me, right? So these pieces do fit together, but when you incorporate social media with PR, this is where your brand, you have control of your brand. You're not waiting for your brand to happen on social media. And remember, I said this is your personal brand. A strong personal brand immediately elevates your business brand, right? If you have a partner or you have a business with lots of people in it, if all of the people in the business are doing the same thing, paying attention to the strength of their personal brand and really showing up as leaders confidently, sharing their knowledge with the world in social media and in PR, your business brand immediately gets elevated, and you have complete control of this, right? You're not waiting for this to happen. You are creating this. So what we talked about is how to get visible, high visibility social media plan, implementation made easy, how to grow your fans, how to engage in profit, how to make yourself newsworthy, how to create a great hook, and how to find the right journalist. And you might be a little overwhelmed now and be thinking, oh my gosh, Karen, like, all right, that was a lot. That was a lot. And I can use some help with this. Remember what our friend Barbara Corcoran said earlier. If you can steal the limelight, you can steal the market share. So it's important to do this. It's important to take this time to develop the relationships, right? And maybe that's why you want to create a strong brand, right? A social brand, so that you can create relationships, so that you can stand out from the crowd, so that you can profit, so that your bank account grows, your business bank account grows, your bank account grows, so that your business grows, so that your bank account grows, right? You want to step into this like you are Superwoman. I mean, I really mean this. You have to really own this. It comes from you. Nobody can do this for you. Even if you hire a PR person at $10,000 a month to do this for you, it's not going to be as good as if you own it and do it yourself. Okay? Or maybe you came here today because you just said, just tell me what to do. I don't have a ton of time, right? I just want to fast track this, right? Or maybe you're here because you're like, I've been working this for so long and I don't really know what to do, and you're looking for some help. Hopefully I was able to help you with that. Or maybe you're looking for this media. Maybe it's time for you to take your brand to that next level. I'm telling you, this is easier than it looks. So you can continue to wish and wait and hope that someday this is all going to happen for you. Or you can be very intentional and create six-figure brands for everyone in this room. So a brand that can grow your business, grow your profitability, grow your bank account. This is what the profitable people are doing in this industry. They're taking control of their business brand, they're taking control of their personal brands, and using social media and PR to blow it all up. Because like I said earlier, more visibility gives you more customers gives you more profits. I know that I kind of went through a lot today, and I went through it fast because we didn't have a ton of time. But I think if you stop, and if you've taken some notes, if you stop and think about this and just take it one step at a time, it can be easy. My goal is for this to be easy for you. Okay, if you want some help from me, I would be happy to jump on a call with you. You can reach me at KarenYankovich.com/LinkedIn Breakthrough and schedule a call, and I'm happy to chat with you about no obligation, no cost, no obligation, about what this might look like for you. I don't know if anybody has any questions about all of this, but I'm here to help you in whatever way that I can for as long as you need me. I hope that this was valuable to you. And again, if I skip over things and you need more, I'm here for questions. If you want to chat about how this applies to you specifically, grab a spot on my calendar at KarenYankovich.com/LinkedIn Breakthrough.
Yeah, Ms. Karen, you have enlightened us on brand innovation and social media transformation. That is a very good presentation. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable information regarding brand innovation and social media transformation. So thank you for joining the session of today. Thank you, Ms. Karen. Thank you.